What's up, everybody? This is world champion freestyle wrestler Stevan Micic, and I'm here today with some awesome, exciting news for the sport of wrestling. Japanese superstar Masanosuke Ono, freestyle world champion in 2024, has decided to wrestle at Penn State University these next upcoming seasons, guys. It just became a notice. I think Flow Wrestling posted it, that he got accepted as a student over the weekend during the NCAA tournament, and then now it's official that he will be, and he's signed to wrestle for the Nittany Lions next year. All right, as Penn State already is a powerhouse of the sport of wrestling, now we're going to see a Japanese freestyle world champion coming to the sport of college. Before we get into it, guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn notification bells on, guys. We're cooking world champion, world class all year 2025. There's a few things here, guys, that a lot of people are wondering, guys. First, how long's he got in college? What weight is he going to go? How is he going to do and compete? You know, those are just some of the questions that people are asking about it. So we're going to dissect this down little by little, and the positives that, you know, it's going to bring in for the sport of wrestling, and the pros and cons of him doing it, okay? So let's start off who he is, all right? So for those of you guys who know Ono, I've been talking about him on the channel before. He's a U20 world champion over the summer, and then went and wrestled at the senior World Championships, the non-Olympic weight World Championships, and stunned the world. He beat Vito Araujo and Zauro Guyev, both world champions at the senior level at only 20 years old. Does that, and then he's got all this hype around him built up, and then he goes and wrestles Spencer Lee in the Flow Wrestling card, I think the Night of America, this past February, and he beat Spencer Lee, Olympic silver medalist and three-time NCAA champion from the USA. Obviously, Ono is red hot right now. Everyone's talking about him. He's super popular. He spent the last few months training at Penn State University, working out and living that U.S. lifestyle. I'm pretty sure, you know, training in the room with Penn State with Cale Sanderson and all the guys there. And I think, you know, with that discussion, he's persuaded, and probably seeing the hype, the atmosphere that college NCAA wrestling provides, and he decided that he wants to wrestle college. I would assume that he has wrestled 2 years for Yamanashi Gakuin YGU in Japan. It's obviously freestyle, but he's wrestled for 2 years, so I don't know if he's going to get 2 years or if they're still going to grant him all 4 years of academic eligibility and athletic eligibility for Penn State. That's the first question. Also, the next question would be, what weight would he wrestle? I think he wants to go down to 57 kilograms, which is 125 pounds for the next 4 years, to try to get ready for the Olympics in LA, where he wants to go on and to win world and Olympic titles at an Olympic weight class now. But I think that if he decides to wrestle college, I think it's going to be a little too strenuous for him to make 125 week in and week out. I think his best bet would go 133. But then you got the headache with, you know, with how deep Penn State's roster is. You have Luke Lillidahl, 125. They have Marcus Blaze coming in at 133. Would he redshirt? You also have, I think that Nagao from Penn State, he's a Minnesota transfer and NCAA All-American. He redshirted this year. So you've got, you know, a tough lineup. And then Bo Bartlett at 141. So, you know, Penn State's got a headache in themselves, and they've got to figure out what they want to do with all their wrestlers and figuring out the lineup. So Ono, I think, could kind of fill in at any spot. My guess, though, would be 133 for the seasons. Now, next question, guys. How is Ono going to translate from wrestling freestyle, being at the pinnacle of the sport, and coming into college, which is technically, quote-unquote, a notch down? But, guys, remember, folk style is a totally different style. He, obviously, technical abilities on his feet, I think what alone can get him to win. I think he's 10 times better, 5 times better than a lot of these guys on neutral, on their feet, and is definitely a more solid positional wrestler with his takedowns, with his defense, all of those positions. But, guys, folk style is a mat game. It's all about top and bottom. That's what gets you titles, and the rules are totally different, guys. In college, there's no push-outs. So when he gets to a leg, guys are going to be running towards the out of bounds. They're going to be wrestling on the out of bounds. Guys, if he gets to a leg, they're going to be diving under. They're going to be scrambling. They're going to be rolling and having funk wrestling that he's not used to. He's never felt that in his life. And then on top of which, you have top and bottom. He's, you know, never wrestled a lick of folk style. And most guys in the U.S. are doing folk style and freestyle hand-in-hand together, like bilingual in a language. And now he's going at the age of 21, learning folk style from scratch. It's a little bit too, you know, early and naive to say, hey, he's going to go in and be a 4-time NCAA champion right away. I think that's just a little bit naive. You know, there's so much around the mat game that's so important, and guys are going to be able to hold position, try to keep matches close, wrestle around the edge. They're going to scout him. They're going to know what he's got, and obviously try to keep it really close. So I do think Ono's going to have a lot of success in folk style and get used to it. He's at the place at Penn State. You know, that's the place to be, I think, if he's going to go to a place and knowing how to develop and make someone their best, especially in the folk style season and having such a tough Big Ten season. I think Ono's choosing the right school for that. but I think he's going to take some licks, and there's going to be some lumps, and I don't think it's going to be smooth sailing along the way, especially never wrestling folk style, and bottom and top is such an important thing. It's so exhausting, and I think he'll have a little bit of a rude awakening, but that doesn't mean that I don't think he's going to win and become a national champion. I do think, especially if he wrestles for 4 years, I think even being a national champion once is a huge accomplishment for a foreign wrestler to come in, no matter it being a world or Olympic champion, and coming into a style you've never done in your entire life. In the U.S., we just see folk style and freestyle so adjacent, but they are so different, completely different. It's like, I feel like that's more of like switching into Greco-Roman for some of you, for layman terms. It's not, going to be, it's going to take Ono a lot of work. And if he goes in next year, and if he came in and won the NCAAs, in my opinion, his first year doing it, I think that would be one of the craziest feats in all of wrestling. That's just my opinion on it. I think, it might take him a little bit of time to develop, and I do think he's good enough to win an NCAA title or two. But there are guys that are going to keep it close. You can't forget about a lot of guys that are coming in, and a lot of these guys that are wrestling in college are being able to go in and compete and try to make a U.S. world team. And we know how deep the U.S. men's ladder is as well. I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk. I think he's going to do some adjusting, and he's going to need it. But I do think how tough he is, and that it's positive. Another thing that you have to look at, and that I'm a little worried about for him, more than just how he's going to adjust to folk style, but how much time is it going to take away from his freestyle and his normal training that he would usually have while being in Japan. Because I know how difficult it is, somebody that wrestled folk style and freestyle at the same time, and I felt like it was difficult to focus on both things at once, and you rarely see guys being able to wrestle on the college scene and then go on and wrestle and make waves while in college still wrestling. You've got rare things where, Vito and Dayton Fix have done it, and Jordan Burroughs has done it, and Gable's done it, and Kyle Snyder's done it, but those are, some of the top who have went on to win world medals and Olympic medals at the time being, and it's a very small. So I do think Ono's in that category and can definitely do both, but learning folk style and not doing both of them at such a, the same, it's going to be tough for him to still get his freestyle output and focus on his world championships when having to double down, triple down, quadruple down on folk style wrestling. Now let's get to, in my opinion, what's the most important thing and what it's going to do for the sport of wrestling. All right, getting an international superstar, a young rising star like Ono to America, to wrestle college. He's going to be making a bag probably from NIL. I think this is tremendous for the sport. It's a win-win for Ono. At the end of the day, who really cares how, I think it's going to draw eyes to the TV. It's going to draw attention. It's going to get media attention. It's also going to help reverse grow freestyle wrestling because people are going to want to pay attention to Ono and the Japanese world and Olympic teams while they go and compete as well, because you're just going to start growing characters from other places, not just America, and we want to see wrestling grow around the world, not just in the U.S. We want to see it be a global sport where it's going to be bigger and bigger. So I think it's huge for him coming. I think it's going to draw more, again, get more tickets sold at venues. It's going to get more attention on TV, on Flow, on ESPN. All these things, eyes are going to turn on their TV for Ono to watch him wrestle because he's an exciting wrestler to watch in the first place. And bringing that to college is going to bring a lot of fans over, and he's going to be able to excite and be electric in front of thousands and thousands of fans every weekend. So in my opinion, it's a win-win. And regardless of what Ono does or doesn't do, he's already a world champion at 20. He's accomplished one of the pinnacles in the sports, and if that's all he did anyways, so be it. He's accomplished what I've accomplished in the sport of wrestling, and not many people can become a world champion. Very, very few do. So anything he does from here is a plus on in his career, and I think can go on to do great things. So what do you guys think, in your opinion, of how Ono's going to do? How many NCAA titles do you think he's going to win? How do you think he's going to transition from freestyle to folk style next year for college? What weight's he going to go? Comment all that. I want to see the comments. I'll be reacting with you guys. Let me know below, and make sure, guys, to subscribe. World champs in everything we do, baby. Let's go!